Hello, dear viewer, and welcome to another episode of the Catholic League Forum. I'm Mike McDonald, Director of Communications at the Catholic League, and joining me today is President and CEO of the Catholic League, Bill Donohue. Bill, I wanted to close out the year by taking a look back at everything that we've done, and a lot of big highlights in 2023, and just have a little conversation about some of the things we've done. As tradition here at the Catholic League, we take a look back, post on our website, the year in review, which will be up very soon. For you to take a look at, but just wanted to give you some highlights of what we've been working on over the course of the year. So I think the best place to start is probably with the grand opening of the year, documentary on Disney, Walt's Disenchanted Kingdom.
Yeah, that was right around just before the Super Bowl, I believe, around the third week in January or so. We started the year with a roar. We never realized how successful it would be. The Disney documentary, of course, is basically to demonstrate how the family-friendly giant became involved in the sexualization of children in our society, something which is astonishing. We accessed the work of Jason Meath, did an absolute first-class job with some stellar stars that were in it, and we won several different awards, the big one being the LA International Short Film Festival, Best Documentary, as well as several other awards. So it went over so big. The big thing I'm concerned about is this. We've said all along that if Disney had had a very good year in 2023, then we really couldn't plausibly argue that our documentary may have had anything to do with them suffering a bite at the box office or with their streaming services and the like. But in fact, the matter is, they had a horrible year. And to what extent the documentary played a role in it, I don't know. We do know this much, that Bob Iger, the head of Disney, the CEO, he has said that there's been a whiplash against them because of being involved in the culture wars and that they've suffered as a result. Clearly, we had an impact. Can we measure exactly what it is? No. But it would be implausible to say that we didn't have at least a role.
Right, absolutely, and as you mentioned, it won several awards. Is viewed by millions of people.
Yes.
You can still find it on Amazon, Rumble. You can watch it there as well, or you could purchase the DVD from the Catholic League. We'll have a link in the description below for that as well. We start off the year with the big, what turned into a big win over Disney. And then we pivoted into probably the next big thing was the Dodgers in June invited the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence to give them an award during Pride Night at Dodgers Stadium. Can you tell us about that big blowout?
Well, a number of different Catholic organizations rightfully complained, but we look here at the Catholic League in terms of traction. What exactly did they do? We know what we did. We took out ads on KABC radio in Los Angeles. I prepared a report. Nobody else did it. Over 20 years, actually going back to 1979, I believe, of the anti-Catholic antics of this bigoted homosexual group. We covered the L.A. Times, all the media in the Los Angeles area. We didn't ask for a total boycott of Dodger games because that's just a silly kind of request. Right. What we asked people to do is don't show up at the ceremony where they're going to get the award, and let's drive down the attendance. Well, we won on both of them in that sense. That less people showed up than previous Fridays that we've seen, and almost nobody showed up for the ceremony. So to that extent, we were pleased with that, and clearly a message was sent to MLB, Major League Baseball, not just the Dodgers. Don't go there. Don't insult people by bringing in a vicious anti-Catholic organization and then celebrate them. I think the message has been delivered.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was a big win. And so, Bill, after we finished with the Dodgers, beat them, drove down their attendance, we got another big win in the Supreme Court. They took up the case this year of 303 Creative LLC versus Elenis, involving a woman in Colorado who was a website designer. She didn't want to make websites for homosexual union, marriage celebrations. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, and it's important people know this woman was a Christian. She's a Protestant. She never said that I won't serve homosexuals. she's never said anything like that. She simply said, if you ask me to create as a web designer a web page for two men celebrating their marriage, you're asking me to approve of something which I cannot, as a Christian, in good conscience, do. And that was similar to the masterpiece bake case, which was in the Supreme Court, which was never fully resolved. It was won on a technicality. This time we won, and we won big in the Supreme Court. The religious liberty of a person not to be forced against her conscience to approve of something which she regards as sinful is a very important First Amendment right, and we're happy that our amicus brief played a role in that.
Absolutely. And throughout the year, we do a lot of reports, particularly on big culture war issues. This year, probably the biggest one, most frequent one we had to do reports on was the LGBT issue. It's a very big flashpoint in the culture war right now. And, dear viewer, just real quick for you, I know you often hear people like, oh, there's a report on it. Everyone seems to have a report these days. But the thing that we do with our reports that really makes them different is they're designed to be ammunition for you to get involved in the fight. And so that's why it's very important, not just to go to the website frequently, but do sign up while you're there for our emails, because that will then usually have a contact person for you to get involved with. And we really do use these reports as tools to help you push back on the powers that be. So do check out that on our website, catholicleague.org, and sign up for the email. But real quick, Bill, back to the just year in review. Can you give us some the highlights from some of the reports we looked at? All sorts of different topics on this issue.
Well, a lot of people talked about the LGBT people and, the men competing against the women in the sports and things of that nature. And we looked at all of that. But we did something that nobody else did. And that is, we took up the question that the president has talked about. What about the violence against transgender persons? Yep. Now, we're opposed to violence against any innocent person. So that would include transgender persons. However, I began to think, wait a minute, as a sociologist, since they hang out with each other, they don't hang around with others, then who's committing the violence? Nobody has reported on this except for the Catholic League. Nobody. Intimate partner violence. You got to understand the code, people. They are doing it to each other most of the time. There may be other instances where straight people are doing it, and that would be equally wrong. But the dirty little secret is there's a violent streak among many in the LGBT community, and they are victimizing each other. And we have the evidence for that. That, I think, is a salient point which more people in this country need to know about.
Absolutely. Now, we've done some of the highlights. It's probably time to look at some of the lowlights. The biggest threat to religious liberty this year obviously came from the FBI. In February, a leaked memo came out that they were starting to look into radical traditional Catholics, and through the course of the year, it has been determined that meant that they were targeting pro-life people, pro-family people, and people who can tell the difference between a man and a woman, targeting them for domestic terrorism. Bill, can you tell us about what the Catholic League did in response to this?
Yes, and let me just punctuate what you said there correctly. The terms pro-life, pro-family Catholics, and those who understand the biological difference between men and women as a domestic terrorist threat. That's not our interpretation.
Right.
That's the FBI. How do we know? Because of a December 4th report that came out by the House Judiciary Committee on the FBI. They didn't go after dissident Catholics. And it wasn't just the Latin Mass people, which would have been bad enough. They went after mainline Catholics. In fact, the real story is they wanted to go national on this. And they took their cues from the Southern Poverty Law Center, Salon, and the Atlantic anti-Catholic sources. No one's been fired. It's still ongoing. Now, we're not saying that the FBI is anti-Catholic. We are saying that there's an anti-Catholic cell group within the FBI. And they need to be purged. And Christopher Wray should be held responsible.
Absolutely. So we've been fighting that all year. And now, I guess, in a little bit more festive conclusion to the year, it is Christmas, and Merry Christmas, dear viewer. As we usually do here, we put up a nativity scene in Central Park as sort of an educational tool to help people understand what the rules are regarding that. But this year we did a couple of new things. The big one, I think, would have to be the billboard in Times Square. Can you tell us what's so unique and special about this?
Yeah, I mean, Times Square is loaded with all kinds of billboards featuring all kinds of commercial events and products and services, and that's all fine and good. That's what it's all about. We decided to chime in at Christmas time for the 2 weeks prior to Christmas. It's going on now. An enormous digital billboard. Celebrate religious diversity, picture of the nativity scene, and then celebrate Christmas. We're kind of playing off of the term diversity. The left doesn't own it. Our argument is that diversity in its best expression means pluralism, pluralism within the context of the Judeo-Christian society and heritage, and that's what we've done there. It's been on Broadway, between 44th and 45th Street, right above street level on the east side of Broadway, and we're getting 4 to 6 hits per hour, 30 seconds each. We're making a mark in New York and therefore nationally because Times Square gets such tremendous traffic.
Yeah. And unfortunately, not everyone agrees with this message. The Freedom from Religion Foundation recently went after a small town in Iowa. And you had a little bit of a provocational message.
Well, we said to them, listen, if you're against nativity scenes in a little town in Iowa, why don't you go after the big boys in New York City, namely the Catholic League? We've had a nativity scene up there in Central Park since the mid-1990s, and I literally said to them, sue us. Do it. Okay? Bring it on. They never did, people, because we know what we're doing at the Catholic League. We know what's constitutional. We know what's borderline and what's not constitutional. We know that we got them left to right, and they know it too, which is why they did absolutely nothing.
Absolutely. Big year of wins, but that really shouldn't come as a surprise. Right, for 50 years, we marked our 50-year anniversary. The Catholic League's been involved in all these big culture war fights. Can you tell us a little bit about this milestone year for the league?
Yes, in April we celebrated the 50th anniversary of the Catholic League. Father Virgil Bloom, a Jesuit political scientist out of Marquette, founded it in 1973. I took over in 1993, and it's been a long run, a half century. And I've seen a lot of Catholic organizations, including a lot of ones on our side. They've crashed. They've burned. They don't have the staying power. They're dead. Never mind the ones on the left. We played a major role in weakening these organizations, the ones on the left, that is to say. And so I'm very proud of the track record that we've had. Other organizations have crashed and burned, and we're just doing very, very well, thanks to you, the viewers, and the members. If you want to be on a winning team, you join the Catholic League. If you want to be on a losing team, there's plenty of them out there for you to join.
Absolutely. So that's pretty much the highlights, the lowlights from 2023. Big year for us, 50-year anniversary, a lot of wins along the way, and looking forward to wins in the new year. Dear viewer, if you're interested in anything that we've discussed today, check out the link below. It's all in the year in review. I'll give you kind of a good summary of everything we did, a little bit more detail than we're able to cram into these couple of minutes with you. So check that out. And also, while you're on our website, consider signing up for our emails and becoming a member. It's a great way to get involved and help us win these fights, and you can be part of what we discuss next year. So, Bill, I think that's a good point to wrap it up. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, people.
Happy New Year. Yep.
Cheers.